Man, cluster bomb heavy bowgun is just the best way of attacking something in the entire game. Nothing brings me more joy than... I was saying, nothing brings me more joy than... What, Cotton? I said, what is it? The time of reckoning is here as Capcom has dropped the hammer directly on top of the most overpowered weapons in Monster Hunter, while also presenting a peace offering to those who are left a little behind on the damage front. And then on top of these specific balancing changes, we learned the glorious glory of what pendants actually are. Spoiler alert! It's not what you think. As an overall statement before we get into each weapon in particular, elemental caps have been entirely reworked, and just as it should be, the magical power weapons should be a bit more in line with the hit things hard weapons, and a number of the weapon changes in here are meant to back up this.
Grease me up, woman!
Okie dokie.
But this also results in slight nerfs for the already powerful elemental weapons to keep them in line.
Friendship over!
There were also a number of bug fixes, but most of these aren't particularly monumental, so I might not go into too much detail on them. They will all be shown on the screen nonetheless. Now to get into weapon specifics, going in smithy order. Greatsword! Across the board, elemental and abnormal status scaling was increased on the weapon's attacks aside from jumping slash, which has had elemental and abnormal status scaling decrease instead. Charge slash 3, strong charge slash 1, 2, 3, leaping wide slash 1 to 3, and mounted attacks all have a bit of an attack power increase, while... True charge slash 1 and 2 had their attack power decreased, with a part damage decrease applying to all levels of true charge slash. Longsword. When using foresight slash, that is your parry, ladies and gentlemen. If you have no spirit gauge available for use, the critical eye effect will not activate. This means if your bar is empty, you will not be immune to the hit, so be careful out there. The hitbox and attack power of this ability have also been decreased.
This is the worst!
And a thing that I fully believed with just me being bad at the game was actually a bug that is now fixed. Sometimes when you use the overhead slash to unsheath your weapon and then attempted to parry right out of that, it would instead perform Spirit Blade, which was not a parry and would frequently get you hit by attacks that you were purposely standing in front of because you thought you would be fine.
Right.
But actually, this was a bug, and now it is fixed, and that is fantastic. Finally, for the weebiest of weapons then, the attack power has been lowered for the first hits of Spirit Slash 3, as well as the fourth hit of Spirit Storm, the mount finisher, specifically when done on the monster's head. Sword and Shield. Oh, sword and shield, you have no new changes. Dual blades. Elemental and abnormal status scaling has been decreased just across the board to offset the gains from raised elemental caps as expected, and possibly the most specific bug I have ever heard of has been fixed. Fixed an issue where a mid-air spinning blade dance would be performed erroneously if the player gets hit by a roar after jumping off a ledge via demon mode evade and landing on top of the ledge. Hammer. Increased stun value of charged attacks. That's it. Hunting horn. Increased range of movements during performance, which is nice. Backward strike has gained an attack power increase, which also is nice. But then the big boy in the house, right swing, left swing, encore, front performance, back performance, and side performance have all had a speed increase. So you'll find yourself locked down significantly less frequently on the hunting horn, which is just fantastic, really. Lance. Like dual blades, elemental and abnormal status scaling decreased across the board, and that's it. Gunlance. We actually found out Gunlance's changes before this dev diary quite recently, and all of these were actually based on player feedback from the beta, which is always just fantastic to hear. Wormstake Blast loads faster, and combos are now possible after loading it. Wormstake Blast's loading animation now has a guard point. If Wormstake Blast misses, your equipped Slayer ammo will drop to the ground, and the cherry on top, Wormstake Blast's damage has been increased. Charge Blade. No, it's a switch axe. Oh, okay, switch axe. Wild Swing has had its elemental and abnormal status scaling slightly decreased, but is now apparently unstoppable. I'm not really sure what this means, but it's definitely scary. Fade Slash moves you further back. Axe Morph is now possible after canceling an elemental discharge. Your sideways evade distance is now increased in Axe mode. Amped Element Discharge now has increased damage on the first hit. In the damage loop, increased elemental damage with element files, and of course on the final explosion, more damage. And Sword mode, Left Rising Slash to Double Slash, and Heaven Ward Flurry's second hit have also had their attack increased. Charge Blade. SAED's element files will now be much more concisely placed, resulting in more precise hits on your opponents. Spinning slash fade slash dash slam, jumping slash axe smash, overhead slash rising slash element discharge 1 and 2 have all had their attack increase, which sounds really nice until you see that amped element discharge and super amped element discharge have had their damage decreased in all aspects. And super amped element discharge now has slightly decreased elemental scaling when using elemental files.
You serious?
Insect glaive.
Jumping advanced slash now has higher damage as well as slightly increased mount buildup, and mounted attacks for all weapons now do more damage, which particularly affects insect glaive because of the spinning attack you do when switching mount location, which has increased damage now as well. On top of this, just all of your kinsect bonuses have been totally boosted, just across the board.
Bow.
Elemental scaling has been decreased for pretty much everything with the exception of a fully charged Dragon Piercer, which is exactly the same in that department. Normal Shot 1 and 2 as well as Power Shot 1 and 2 have had their part damage decreased, and for some reason Arc Shot, yes, the barrel attack, has had its stun scaling decreased.
Why?
Dragon Piercer and Midair Shot, which is your wall jump attack, both have damage decreases as well as Dragon Piercer now dealing less part damage.
Bowguns.
Aw, you guys got lumped together so you can be sad together.
Why, God? Why are you doing this to us?
First off, a happy note, spread ammo now has greater vertical range, which is just, you know, a nice little thing. You will receive more elemental ammo from crafting, as well as flaming, water, freeze, and thunder ammo getting a boost to their raw damage along with a bit of a decrease to their elemental scaling. Normal 3 and Pierce 3 deal more damage, and cluster bombs deal less damage and less part damage, as well as hunters now being able to carry less bomb berries on top of that. I am not sorry. And finally, the cooldown for special ammo on the heavy bowgun has been shortened, so you can do cool things more frequently. Finally then, we've actually found out what pendants are, the glorious bejeweled gemstones that lay upon our weapons. We've speculated for the last few weeks that these could be skill-based. Maybe they could be like augments, or maybe even like layered armor for weapons. It could be so many things, and it's just a little trinket that hangs off your weapon. It looks nice. I actually really like these, and you can get them from things like helping lower level hunters, certain achievements, or just from playing the game. Yeah, I know compared to what it could have been, this is a little disappointing. But the hype that the community built around pendants was exactly that. It was hype that we built, and it appears to have been completely and hilariously unfounded, which I love, and I really do like the way that they've actually implemented pendants. Alright everyone, I've been Cotton Dinosaur. Those have been all of the new weapon changes from the second pre-Iceborne developer diary. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet. This is the brand new outro to tell you all the things that you do that we love, so let's start with something simple and say, oh, we love your eyes. When they're watching us play video games, when we make a bunch of jokes that are kinda lame, or when they gaze upon our failures as we try to kill the monsters or report important news about the Kingdom Animalia. Rage, Continent, Hollow, we're all here, talking about the things you want to hear. So if you want to be the first to hear, like and subscribe and the bell and we'll cheer. Some of you are patrons even though we are all the noobs and you're the pros. There's nothing we can do to thank you. No, really, there's nothing we could possibly do. Goodbye.